Alright, so today what I want to talk about is a modification I'm going to have to make to my CB550 because of an issue that I ran into a couple of years ago. Basically, when I was stopping, what I would find is that the bike would occasionally feel like I couldn't turn my front steering arms to the left. It was like the steering would lock up. I couldn't turn left, and in two different occasions I ended up having to actually put my foot down to keep the bike from falling over briefly. And I asked a lot of people a lot of questions, and the way the problem happened, it would actually cause it to it didn't always feel like something was locking up. Sometimes it felt like almost a torque steer type of thing, and I couldn't quite sense what was happening. But after one day while putting the brakes on, hearing a clunking sound, first time I'd ever heard that, I finally found the problem. So the problem you can see is right down here. You can look right here at the front fender, and you can hear that noise. So what I've done is I've compressed my front forks down. In fact, you can't see it. Let me move it over here a little bit. Turn everything down here so you can see a little better. So here's that noise again. You can see the fender is actually in between the headers, the downpipes here on the front. I've got the front forks compressed all the way down. I just took out the springs up on top. I took out the stoppers for the springs, so I let the springs extend up out of the forks so that I could push this downward like this. So what was happening was when I would brake, this fender would slip up in between these two pipes, and that's what was locking up. So really dangerous situation now that I realize what's happening. It's something that has to be fixed. Now, one thing that I know is that this particular pipe of the four, for some reason, it's actually sticking out further by about a half a pipe diameter. So it's actually pushed this way out further than the other pipe. So the first step I'm going to do is take these pipes off, bend that pipe to get it to seat just like the others, and then I'm going to check it and see where it's at. If that doesn't get me enough clearance to make it work, because if I turn the other way, the bike will steer, but it does actually touch, which I don't like. So if that doesn't fix it, then I'm going to take a pipe cutter. I'm going to cut these pipes off and actually shorten them a little bit so that the whole exhaust system can move inward toward the bike just a little bit, and I think that'll solve all my problems. Okay, so in this view right here, you can see as you look across here how this pipe is sticking that way further than the rest of them. I'll try to put something sort of straight across there if you can sort of see it. But it's way out there relative to the rest. So I've got to take this pipe and get it pulled backwards. So that's step one. Not sure how I'm going to do that just yet, but that's what I'm going to try to do, and then we'll see where it goes. Okay, so you saw me kind of wrenching on these pipes a little bit. A couple things I wanted to show you I ended up doing is I put this wrap on the pipe that I could then put this long pry bar into, and that ended up really being the secret. So these two pipes I rested on this footstool. This other pipe I propped a board up underneath it to hold it, and then this one I could just wrench and push straight down on. So now if you sight down these pipes, you can see that pretty good there. I don't know if you can or not. They're pretty well in line now. Try to get a little closer here so you can really see it. There we go. So as you sight down through there, you can see these things are, let me get my white shirt behind it so you can sort of see what's going on. You can see a lot better alignment than what we had. So I think now I'm in pretty good shape. The next step now is I'm going to fit it back onto the bike, and I'm going to see if I've got enough room to get the steering to work now. I don't think I will have enough room. And so then the next thing will be to just cut off maybe half an inch or something off of these pipes so that it moves it just a little closer to the bike, and that should make everything work well. So after I got ready to put this on the bike, I noticed that I really still hadn't bent it quite far enough. And this pipe here was still this way, a little bit further than the rest of the pipes, particularly on this side. So if you sight down this side right in here, this was actually still a little bit proud relative to the others. So I actually went back, wrapped it all together and redid it. And now I can, with my camera, I can sight and see that actually it's the most inward pipe of the 4 now. You can also see it out here that it's a little bit sticking out a little further here than the other, so it needs a trim before we can get it mounted on because it's a little bit long. But I'm thinking actually now if I just trim just that pipe and then put everything all the way in, I'll probably have something that works. All right, so the deal is this. I put this thing on, kind of fit it up there. I've got this pipe moved back, trying to get it out of the way, and it was not far enough. We still had a lot of interference with the front fender. So what I'm gonna do now, this pipe actually is inboard about maybe a 1/4 inch more than the rest of the pipes. So I'm gonna cut about 3/4 of an inch off of this one, and about 1/2 an inch off the rest of them. And I think at that point we should be in pretty good shape. We should have nice clearance. All right, so I've got it back on now. Everything's not maybe quite as perfect as I would like it, but it's certainly safe now. So I'm going to show you what's happened over here where you can see it a little bit better. So I've got the front end completely compressed as far as it can move. There's where it hits, and I can just feel just a very ever so subtle rub. So what would happen is if I hit the brakes hard enough that it completely bottomed out, which actually doesn't happen all that often, but if I did, and I needed to steer left, there would be a little bit of drag there, which wouldn't be ideal, but I think it's still safe because in that situation, I think I'd be willing to turn pretty hard, wrench pretty hard on the bars. So I wished I'd gotten it in a little bit further, but to adjust it at this point and get it that little extra bit in wouldn't be ideal. I might even come back later and put a small dent into the header. Again, not something I really want to do, but if I think it's going to be a problem. But on the other side, there's tons of room now. The other side was actually touching before, so I think everything's good.